Okay, welcome everybody to the Ortelius May 27th architecture meeting, the 8:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Looks like we have a couple new people. If you could introduce yourself, just give a quick background of what you are up to and what you're interested in. So Bala?
Yeah, hi all. So I'm Bala Vignesh. So I'm an SRE and work for a company called Accessibility. So we primarily focus on open engineering, open source technologies only. We are deploying customers heavy workloads from VMware and Nutanix systems to open source hyperconverged infrastructure technologies. So that's what we do.
All right. And are you, do you have a are you starting to work with like Kubernetes and that, or are you still focused on the VMware side?
Okay, actually, we got both the things also. So we normally work on VMs only, but we are also work on Kubernetes and command CI/CD pipelines also. So I think I have some. I'm actually a newbie only, so I'm just learning around.
Okay, no problem. And are you interested in doing any coding, or what's the interest with the Ortelius group, so we can make sure we can help you out?
Actually, I know only basic codings, and I think I know some shell scripting now. And actually, I'm learning Go now only. That's it.
Okay, no problem. We'll help you out there.
Yeah, thanks.
I've been coding since, I think I figured out one time 1978, so I've done it a little bit.
Yeah.
Devendran, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, myself Devendran. I'm a Python developer. I have Java experience as well. I'm right now working with Wells Fargo, and so it's kind of a closed door kind of projects we do. And I used to make open source contributions 3 years ago, and then I just left out from the open source community. Now I wanted to join back, and I had met Tessie Reagan, and then through her, like, I joined Ortelius, and I want to contribute.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, most of our the new microservice work that we've been doing is around Python Flask, so you'll fit right into that really quick. And it looks like we have Jesse. Welcome to the group.
Hey guys. Long time no see. So yes, I've been here a few times, but new role in life has kept me super busy. And then some pretty famous breaches I think that you guys have heard of recently has also taken up quite a bit of my time. So yeah.
Well, we're gonna pick your brain about that, you know.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Good to see you guys.
Yep. I threw the link in there if you could sign in. And so where we left off with this, Tracy, can you mute yours, because I'm getting a crazy echo.
Oh, okay.
So the where we left off last time, we had a discussion going on around Swagger and bringing Swagger into a metadata, or like Tracy likes to call it, data hoarding that Ortelius is going to be doing or does. And for Swagger, it kind of came to the decision that we were going to pull in the Swagger YAML files and store them somewhere inside of Ortelius's database, or more than likely in the database, because they're not that big, and be able to version that along with the microservice that's getting created. So what we're going to need to do, and I believe there's also something called Open API. I have to double check on that. that's comparable to Swagger. So we'll have to bring in either Swagger YAML or OpenAPI YAML file. I don't know if they're interchangeable. We'll have to do some research on that front. So I'm going to need, if somebody would like to do some research on how we can, if there's any like JavaScript libraries, or if there's like a mini Swagger server that we need to embed in Ortelius. I would like to see if somebody would be interested in doing that research and hunting down what's out there. And if no takers, that's fine.
Yeah, you can put my name on that. Spend some time. I want to say that OpenAPI and Swagger are interchangeable, and maybe that Swagger implements the OpenAPI spec, but I don't recall right now. But
yeah, I can't remember either.
Hey, Steve, on these kinds of topics for this group, wouldn't it be useful to open up GitHub discussions?
We don't, the discussions haven't been that long. What I will do is open up a GitHub issue so we can track it that way, and I'll assign Jesse to it. Let me show you what where it's going to fit in, so it gives you a better context. Let me find my screen. Get rid of that. Okay, so if we look at a microservice, the data that we've been gathering is information like the build engine. Well, this one was done by Circle CI, the build number, where it was pushed to the container registry, the container digest, the git commit. And what we're in the process of doing is this big area from last build number down, we're going to split that out into a new box here. And things that are going to be added into that area, or it may get split into multiple boxes, are going to be things like, you know, the service owner, the service owner's email address, their phone number, the Slack channel, the PagerDuty URL, things like that we're going to extend. And so what I'm envisioning is for the Swagger integration that we'd have a box that would basically render up the Swagger documentation as part of that. And if it gets too big, we may just, we have room to put it on another page as well.
okay, so it'd be a way just to expose the underlying microservice, the underlying essential services, Swagger
Yep.
or OpenAPI spec. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so like here's the YAML file.
Yeah.
And then you have like these pieces over here. So in a microservice, you're not going to have hundreds of different endpoints. You know, it's going to be confined to a smaller subset of endpoints. But this area over here is what we're looking like to embed over in this area as under a component. So I believe this is backed by just a JavaScript library, but that's the one thing we need to double check.
Okay, yeah.
Does that help with some context to what we're trying to do?
Yeah. Once we have that GitHub issue created, I can review it, and then if I have questions, we can like just have that conversation there.
Yeah.
But right now, I think as you've stated it, I've got a pretty decent understanding of where we're trying to go there. So
yeah. So this is like in this case, there's a pet endpoint, which would be equivalent to the microservice. So we're looking at maybe a dozen possible calls that we'll have to render up in that box area. So see what you can find.
And there is Backstage has a good example of how they've integrated with it. So that may be something you want to take a look at as well. Doesn't Backstage have a link to it, or?
Not to Swagger.
Oh, I thought they were tracking like API, like endpoints and documentation on a microservice.
I don't remember. I had to double check again, but I didn't think so. They were, that was another thing that we need to bring in, that I have to add to the service catalog is we know where the Git repo is, and one of the things we need to bring in is the README file and the license that's actually associated with that Git repo for this service, and bring that in as a couple other boxes. I have a feeling we're going to have to expand onto multiple tabs here, just because it's going to get pretty long real estate wise. I don't know, that will be something that we'll have to play around with and see, because I know sometimes people hate going to different tabs, but at the same time, I don't know which is what better, to scroll or to tab over. So we'll have to kind of play around we'll have to get some ideas around that once we start getting data in here and seeing what it looks like. And I know there's Crum was talking about moving the dependency map lower in the list, so we can move the catalog data up in this upper right hand corner. So all right, perfect. So that's thank you, Jesse, for taking that.
Yeah.
What's your GitHub handle?
I think it's Jesse Gonzalez.
Okay.
Sorry, but I think I'm in the group already.
Okay.
Yeah,
if
it's
not, I'll
all
bug you.
lowercase. I'll
Right.
I'll post. I'll update that doc real quick. But yeah.
We can't hear you, Tracy.
And that where your reference, Tracy, was or maybe you can answer this too, Steve, was backstage.io, right?
Yeah, it's another
okay, cool.
open source project that's coming out of Spotify.
Okay.
Let me see if I see it in. Oh, yeah, there you are. So for the new folks, if you could do me a favor and let me share my screen again real quick. Come on, Zoom, where did you go? If you go to the Ortelius /Ortelius repo, there's a README file here. If you could just do a pull request to pick which area that you want to focus on. It's nothing set in stone, but what it does is when you do the pull request, it allows your GitHub handle to be associated with this repo, and then I can assign you issues and things like that in GitHub. It exposes you to the organization, and then I can assign you to a team to be able to work on things. So if you need help doing a pull request, if you've never done one before, just reach out and we'll help you out on that front.
Just on the topic, like
Okay.
yeah, just on the Swagger topic, like have some experience with the Swagger. Like if I can contribute something with Jesse, I would like to do that actually.
Okay. What is your GitHub handle so I can keep an eye out for it when it pops up?
I have updated in the doc. You can
Okay.
see.
Okay, perfect. If you do that pull request against the main repo for the README, I'll be able to add you to the issue with Jesse. So the two of you can be on that same issue and get notified when we have a discussion going on there. So on that front, I kind of like to shoot for next week, like a week from today, to see where we're at, even though we don't have a meeting. If we can put that kind of as the timeline. So I know from a front end perspective what we need to do as far as integrating with that, just so I have a game plan on that front. So that's kind of what I'm looking for there. Try and think what else was on my list. We'll go back to the doc. Where'd it go? So just to let you know, I was able to get additional credits from Microsoft Azure for running Ortelius in a Kubernetes cluster. That I had to do the switch over between the subscriptions on the 3rd of June. So after the 3rd of June, I'll be able to go ahead and add new people to have permissions to our Kubernetes cluster in Azure. So one of the things with the microservices that we have, we'll be actually pushing them out over to our Azure cluster, and that will be our test area as part of that process. So we got another year, which is good. As part of that, the GitOps, the Australian group is going to be installing, I don't remember if it's gonna be Argo or Flux, which one they're going to go with first into the cluster, so they can understand how that's going to work with the whole GitOps picture that we're working around. So just a heads up on that. If you need to have access to Azure for any reason, just let me know and we'll get that sorted out. The Azure Active Directory security model can be very complicated. It's not the easiest thing to get get security set up like you'd think it would be. I ran a report and I ended up with like 8,000 security objects that I had access to. A little bit too much over my head. So that's just a heads up. The coding, we have additional, I'm waiting on, I was hoping Sergio was here. There is a Python circuit breaker module that we're going to be using. He was working on the implementation of that. And what that's doing is handling database connections and retries and things like that. I will reach out to him to catch up to see where he's at on that front. Also on Discord, I did put a new channel out there called Stand Up. And basically that is for us to work with, notify each other that you're waiting on somebody for something. Basically, more of like a dependency. I'm dependent upon Jesse now, and I'll put that out there. I'm waiting on Jesse to do the Swagger, expecting it by, such and such date, so we can kind of keep everything moving along on that front. Trying to think what else we had on the list. I think that was the main thing. I know DT, is there anything that you're waiting on from your side? I can't remember.
Regarding what?
That's why I wasn't sure if it was you or Aisha that was waiting on some stuff for the microservices.
No, I don't think I have made any pull request.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. So if we let me share my screen one more time. So the issues that we have, we'll go to projects. are the microservices, and for like Bala, there's another person that is like brand new to programming and stuff, knows some basics, and we start out with a simple Python Flask bubble sort to kind of get your feet wet. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I will set up the issue. And what ends up happening is those evolve into full-on microservices. So we take you step by step through the coding process to get you to a point where you're actually coding SQL queries and doing things like that against the database. If you're interested, let me know and I'll set that up for you.
Understood, Steve. I'm interested.
Okay. And then if somebody said they're looking for some Go or is working on Golang. I don't see it here. Where'd it go? There should be a issue out here about around the Cyclone DX. Yeah, it's not. I'll have to find it. But if anybody's interested in doing a little bit of Golang programming, let me know. There is an issue. I can't find it right now. But basically, what we need to do is to bring in or run Cyclone DX and like safety and a couple other scanning tools against a cluster or against a container, gather the information, and then be able to hit the endpoint here, this one here, for doing dependency management. So that's kind of where we'll, if somebody's interested, it's not a very big Golang program. Basically, it's just going to be taking a couple parameters, running a couple command line calls. So it's mostly going to be, run a process, gather the output, and then make a RESTful API call, posting the file. So I will find that. And I have that issue out here,
Okay.
Jesse.
Yeah. Let me hop over. And, yeah, cool. I don't want to commit to too much, but I've done some Golang development, so I can help if anybody's interested as well on the Golang front. But maybe I don't want to volunteer for too much all at once and kind of slow things down. But
yeah, we'll let go ahead and just focus on the Swagger stuff, because that's a pretty big task there. And then we'll focus on the Golang piece. The Golang piece isn't as it's down the road, so it's not something that we need to do right off the bat today. So a couple of weeks down the road, we'll be able to bring that in. So we'll keep in that. For some reason, I'm not seeing your user ID, but that's something I have to do on the GitHub side to get you assigned to this. But this will be the issue 306. And I believe it was Devendran, you're also interested in the Swagger piece? I believe he said so. Okay,
Yes.
I'll add you to the same issue. So it'll be 306 is what you'll get us assigned to as part of that. So awesome. Tracy, am I missing anything else?
We just need to put out some deadlines for this, for the service catalog. In terms of getting, this out, we really should be looking at focusing on having a release around the 1st of September.
Oh, I was thinking of, for the service catalog, we would be middle of, I would say by July, middle of July, would be where I'd like to target it.
Well, that's 6 weeks from now. So if you guys think you can get that done in that period of time, but we do need to put a stake in the ground for when we're going to get that delivered, so we can start talking about it.
Well, let me look through what we have and where we're at, and on, is it Monday's call? The general meeting's on Monday, or is it on Tuesday? I can never remember. I think
The general meeting is on Tuesdays at 8:30.
so. I will look at it and see where we're at and try to figure out a date for that. And we'll bring it up to the general meeting so everybody knows what's happening.
Perfect.
Because I know a lot of the stuff, a lot of the microservices have been are pretty far along. So I think it's just a matter of pulling pieces together. We're getting closer to that point. And I think from an architecture standpoint, we've narrowed in as where we want to focus. You know, we have the Swagger. We know we need to bring in like the scanning tools, licenses, those type of things, the README file. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we need to collect. And now it's just to hit the ground running and get all those pieces pulled together.
Yep. So that was the only thing.
Okay.
Just an update data, like I have created a pull request with the interested contribution group.
Okay, perfect. I don't have my email. Well, I'll get that approved in the next few minutes here. And then what I'll do is I will also set up everybody into the right group so you have permissions to all the repos. And we'll be able to get assign issues, comment on issues, those type of things. So I will take care of that as soon as we're done here. Anybody have any questions or comments? Any ideas if I missed anything around service catalogs or microservices?
Yeah, just on like one idea on that list you have mentioned. Can we have try grouping those data, like you said the data come from GitHub and Travis CI. Can we have like a group and grouping?
I'm not quite following a group and ungroup.
That means I collapse and uncollapse that list.
Oh,
so that
yeah. Yeah, from the layout perspective, that's a great idea. Let me see how we could implement that and if that's going to make it. Do you think we should, yeah, we could probably do it by row. I'll have to see because the boxes are like on a row. Let me share real quick. So like this endpoint and key value configuration, I get what you're saying is if we can do like a hide expand button where we can hide expand that row could work to help us with the real estate. And like this one, this is taking up a whole row, so that's the easy one. But
yes.
like this one for audit trail and access, we'll have to hide or expand that whole row. Let me see what we can do on that front. That's a great idea. See if I can implement it easy. The hard part is that this UI is written all in JavaScript with jQuery, and there's no framework behind it. So it's just random JavaScript code. So there's like really it's not like you're using Vue or React. So, changing some things can be interesting, put it that way. But I like the idea. Okay, perfect. Well, thank you, everybody. And on Tuesday, 8:30, so a half hour, basically this time, we'll have our general meeting, and I will get everybody in the next few minutes, I'll get everybody's access and GitHub straightened out. Balag and Devin, welcome aboard, and good to see you back, Jesse. Thank you, everybody.